Hi everybody, welcome back to Mando Lessons. My name is Baron Collins Hill. In this week's lesson we have a simple to complex lesson on the tune Morrison's Jig. It's a classic Irish jig in the key of E minor, E Dorian. And if you haven't learned the tune already, there are lessons out for learning the melody, and there's also a lesson on the chord progression. But in this lesson, I'm going to add just a couple little ideas of how to spice up the tune a little bit. In Irish music, there's not a lot of improvisation or double stops or things like that, so there's really only a couple things that I add to this tune. It's a tune that's very eighth note heavy. It's a lot of kind of short notes back to back to back, and that means that there's not that much space to add in other things, but there are a couple spots that are great for triplets, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Without further ado, let's jump in. All right, so really the thing that is going to be the most different from just playing the skeleton of the tune that I taught, check that out if you haven't already, or this lesson's not going to make a lot of sense, is, right at the beginning, anytime you see either a quarter note or a dotted quarter, if you're reading the music, or you can just think about it as, anytime you have a long note, that's going to give you some options for things to alter. So, as written, the A part the only long notes we have in this tune are at the beginning of, I guess, every other measure if you're thinking in measures, but that I'll really overemphasize it. Long, 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 long. So everything but those long notes are just straight eighth notes, which really takes away from our ability to alter it, because in Irish music we're very melody focused, which means it's going to be a lot easier to just play the melody rather than get fancy and try to improvise something or do melodic variations. So really we're kind of confined to those longer notes, and they are a great opportunity for triplets on the mandolin or tenor banjo, and fiddle players will often do some ornamentation in this part too. So essentially what we're going to be doing is, there's a couple different ways to do triplets. I have a more in-depth lesson on that at mandolessons.com, but I'll break it down a little bit here as well. So essentially with a triplet, we're going to turn it into, we're going to go, because it's a dotted quarter, we're going to do note triplet. You can do down, up, down. You can do up, down, up. So that would be down, down, up, down, or down, up, up. And sped up to speed, it sounds like this. It's a nice clean way to add a little bit of punch into the tune. And with that triplet, what we're going to be doing is we're kind of muting the first two notes of the triplet. So we have note, triplet, and you can either kind of take the pressure off the string, or you can kind of drop some fingers down above that fretted note. And that just gives it a little bit of punch. It sounds a little funny when you just are playing it slow, but as you speed it up, it's going to make it a little more punchy and sound great. Again, triplets definitely take practice, so if you want a more in-depth look at triplets, check out the triplet specific lesson over at mandolessons.com. So looking through, that's most of what I'm doing in the A part, is just adding that triplet. Again, triplet. triplet, note triplet, note triplet. And I'm adding a little something in at the end if you want to do a little bit of hammer on and pull off, which I don't do a whole lot of, but that's a fun little sort of snappy moment. So let's see, we have... So instead of going 205, we're going to go... Oh, 205, 420. So that becomes... Again... Oh, sorry. There it is. Just a little bit of a pull off to add a little bit of interest at the end of the part. So I'll play it through the A part once more and listen for that little kind of flick at the end there. And then moving on to the B part. So in the B part, I'm sort of creating more space first. It's the B part written out is just a long string of eighth notes. Sorry. Etc. So I'm going to take all those doubled open E strings and turn as many of them as I like into triplets. As a practice, it would be great just to do them all. It gives you a lot of kind of practice to build muscle memory on that triplet move. So as an exercise, do that. But then when it comes to playing the tune, you know, decide how many triplets you want in there. Sometimes I find if I throw a triplet every single little spot that I can think of, it gets a little bit overbearing. So that's sort of an artistic choice for you to make. But for now, let's practice by tripleting on every doubled open E string in the B part. So with the E, to mute it, you're going to have to keep your hand kind of muting that E string by having fingers just like lightly resting on that E string. Let's see if I can do this. Sorry. I'm getting a little turned around, but you're getting the idea here. Mostly taking all those open E strings second half. So adding in those triplets all over the place as an exercise, and you could tell I was kind of struggling because I don't usually add triplets everywhere, and especially slowed down, it gives it a little bit of a halting quality, but as you get up to speed, it starts to sound like this. Getting a little turned around here. I'm doing the same thing at the end, where it goes. I'm using that dotted quarter to go note, triplet. Again. One more. And if you want to throw in that fancy little pull-off there, that's cool too at the end. Alright, so hopefully that gave you some ideas of how to spice up Morrison's jig. Subscribe if you haven't already, because next week we're going to be doing a play-along jam where I'm playing the melody and you play the chords, and then we swap, so I'll play the chords while you play the melody. Have a grand old time. Thanks so much for watching, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.